Anni Savikurki is a senior specialist at the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry. She coordinates the food sector growth program, which works to double Finnish food exports by 2031. Her goal is to solve global food security challenges with new technologies. Please, Anni Savikurki.
Good morning, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here today. And I want to thank you, the WePlanet organizers, for the invitation. I bring the greetings from the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry here today. And I really think that the theme that we have today is really exciting, but also very timely. From the perspective of the ministry, the novel food technologies, they are not just a technical topic, because they are a strategic one, and they have implications for the food system's resilience, sustainability, and growth. And what I can say in general about how the ministry sees new technologies and cellular agriculture specifically, we think that it's a promising approach, and actually Finland has been supporting the novel food technologies, including cellular agriculture, in various EU level discussions. And as we've heard so many times already today, we have population growth combined with climate change, we have diminishing ecological resources, so we have to think and rethink the ways we produce and source food. And we think that cellular agriculture is a way to do it more sustainably. And some member states might have a bit of opposing views. They might see, I'm talking about the EU member states now, they might think it as a threat to farming, for rural life, even for farmers' well-being. However, I don't know if there is much of evidence that supports those concerns. And personally, I think that new technologies and, for example, cellular agriculture will never replace traditional agriculture, but I really believe that they will come to coexist, and that they will find their way to benefit from each other, as we just heard Emilia talking about the side streams and all that cycle that goes with it. Finland, as you already might have heard today also, is quite a forerunner in many areas of novel technologies. And we have companies that have successfully commercialized their production and innovation. And that's a very strong foundation now. But we must ensure that these companies and new companies will continue to see Finland as a country worth investing in. And that's where we have something to do. And we need to create the environment that supports innovation and protects the intellectual property, and also enables the smooth regulatory processes, as we just also heard. But what the ministry does now, so actually this year we've been quite engaged in a process that guides us to rethink the future of food systems in Finland. As it's defined in the current government program, we are this year compiling a food system strategy. And that's a strategy that looks to the year 2040. So we are supposed to define how does that future look like and how do we get there. And this process has taken us all around the nation and to talk with the stakeholders and gather their views. And actually this process is not just about the policy, because it's really about the vision, and it's really about identifying where we want to go, where we want to be, and how do we get there. So for this strategy, we really need all the views of the relevant organizations and stakeholders, because we need the stakeholders to commit to the strategy. There's no point of doing a strategy that it's just a paper of the ministry. And that's because that's the only way that we can design effective actions that have an impact. So, and actually we are all stakeholders because we are all consumers at least. And the plan is now that after the commenting round this fall, the food system strategy of Finland will be published in December. And then early next year, we will focus on the action plan. And that's an important phase where we actually define the responsibilities and who is doing what and when and how. And so that's also going to be made together with the stakeholders. And it's going to be a 4-year plan, and then we refine another 4-year plan until it reaches 2040. So the strategy itself, it's still in a draft mode, but what I can say about the discussions and materials that we collected, that the novel technologies and new value chains, including cellular agriculture, is really seen as an important part in 3 key ways. Firstly, it's of course a matter of resilience and security of supply. We know that diverse production systems increase the resilience, and when we incorporate new technologies and alternative production methods, we reduce the dependency on any single source, and that strengthens our national security of supply. Secondly, as we've heard, circular economy, and that's super important because the new value chains often make use of the side streams of the traditional existing ones. And this means better resource efficiency and less waste and more value extracted from the same inputs. So it's really about the circularity is not environmental goal only, but it's an economic opportunity. And thirdly, new technologies is really part of the growth and international competitiveness. Finland has actually now a very ambitious goal to double the food exports by 2031. And achieving this requires much more than just scaling up the traditional product volumes. And it's not about volumes at all, actually. It's really about adding value. And we need to diversify our exports. And it's not only about the food products, but it's also with technologies, expertise, and equipment. So here we see that the novel food technologies are key to unlock this growth and positioning Finland as the global leader, if that's not already the case. So as you can see, the novel foods technologies will come to play an important role in this new strategy of food strategy of Finland. And now it's just a matter of defining the actions that lead us to the desired future. What I can say in general that Finnish government remains to be committed to the growth and internationalization of the food sector by new food technologies. As a result of the budget negotiations last spring, the government decided to allocate 10 million yearly to Business Finland's RDI funding. And of course, I must comment that the VTT has really done a remarkable job in creating the supporting environment to their innovation to scale up. But what really needs more support is the commercialization process, and the government seeks to create the funding opportunities for the commercialization and production plant investments. We are of course very well aware of the regulatory processes and the challenges with it. However, many of the questions are between the Commission and EFSA, and the national room for maneuver is quite limited. However, we are doing everything we can on the other ends, and we have actually taken quite an active role in advancing the new value chain sectors we funded this study that we just heard previously with Emilia, and we really needed that information to see the potential of new value chains, the potential in them that has to do with sustainability and sustainable growth. And currently we are planning the next steps with the researchers, and I think we'll hear more about that in a panel discussion later today. And in addition, we are coordinating the food sector growth program currently. And there we look at food systems and food sector's potential widely. We fund RDI, and we aim to ensure that the education system can respond to the future needs. And most importantly, through our key stakeholders that work together with the companies, and based on their needs, we are building the structures for the export services that the companies may need. And that we are doing together with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And for example, there are plans now to refresh the Finland's country branding materials, and that's a great chance to complete those materials with the story of the novel food innovations. And what the ministry can also do, we can actively seek for events to participate in, to promote the Finnish technologies and firms in international events, such as technology conferences. And as a side event, we can create some networking events addressed specifically for the novel food tech areas. And this year is a special one because the World Expo is taking place in Japan. And the second last week of September, we are going together with our 4 fantastic novel foods companies, including Solar Foods here, to showcase Finland as really, well, let's say, the leader of the sustainable bioeconomy. And we really want the audience there to see that Finland really rocks in this area. But having said all this, I think, bearing in mind where I come from now to this stage, I must add that at the same time we must remain somewhat grounded. We have to acknowledge that technology will not solve everything. In its sense, food production will not become entirely landless, and land-based agriculture will remain essential. However, of course, new technologies are important in the traditional agriculture too. And as we just heard from Emilia, we see the importance of the cycle of the side stream becoming an input to the cellular agriculture, for example. So I strongly think that the future is really about coexistence, and that's where the traditional and novel food production, they function side by side. And yeah, so your work is really vital here, and I wish to thank you once again for having me today here. And really, you are the ones who are building the food sustainable foods future. And yeah, I just want to wish you a really, really fruitful day, and that you make new encounters that will refresh your minds for the new innovations and solutions for the more sustainable future. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Anni?
Thank you so much. That was really interesting. You've got to be cautious as a British person saying anything positive about Brexit, because it's embarrassing. But one of the positive things is that we're overhauling our novel food regulations and making things a lot faster. So that includes creating what doesn't sound very exciting, but it is a regulatory sandbox, which is where companies can, so to speak, play around and see if their regulations are likely to get through before they submit an action application, and then have the years wait that they go through, that we've heard often happens with EFSA. And also just prioritisation. So in the UK, we now actually are going to prioritise alternative proteins instead of endless CBD flavoured gummy products, for example, which are normally creating a massive backlog. Now, obviously, as you said, it's between the Commission and EFSA to do this, but I'd be really interested to know, given that Finland's got such a stake in this, it's such a potential growth industry, you're out in the lead, are you taking, at a Brussels level, an active role in petitioning for overhaul of EFSA, for improvement of EFSA? Are those conversations you're involved with, or are you sort of resigned to the let's say, a pretty crap process that's just ridiculously slow?
Great question. Of course, me personally, I'm not involved in those discussions in the Commission and around those tables. However, I know my colleagues in the Ministry are very much involved in those discussions and are doing let's say the most that they can, and also to influence the other member states and really like facilitating discussion about what we are talking about here. So I think that's the space where we can really have an influence, and we are doing that because of course we have the stake in the play, and we see that the process is something should be done if we so much hear about these challenges.
Yes, I'm from Norway, and I wonder if you have any, or we basically have a non-existent like cellular agriculture. But I wonder if you have any recommendations, or like if you want to get those policies and want to get a similar industry going in another country, like Norway.
So your question was about any advice to other countries, what could and should be done to really accelerate the policies pro new technologies. Very good question again. I think also of course the lobbying power is one thing, but I think we just touched upon with Emilia's questions that how the public opinion also has an influence, and that's also what we're trying to do with this food strategy process this year, that we really have this really wide, they're not even stakeholder consultations, but they are like more like workshops where we invite all the relevant actors from the areas, from the regions, to discuss about the future and how do we see it. And I think it's really also about that, and it's also about spreading the information and spreading the knowledge and spreading the understanding in all the actors, among all the actors. I think that could be one thing, and at least that's what we've done. But we have long tradition in high tech research and education, and that's a good maybe research topic. Why are we in this position now? What has influenced it? I don't know if somebody has answers in the audience. It'd be lovely to hear also.
Okay, one more.
It's maybe a related question, but I really admire the sort of national ambition that you've got behind this. And you talked about Finland as a leader in the sustainable bioeconomy. Who are you competing with? Who are the other countries that are contenders for that title, or is this a sort of space that Finland has.
Yeah, I don't know. Very often, Finland and Finnish people have been claimed to be too modest, and I think we've taken a total different approach here to really not talk down on ourselves and just talk about think about us as the leaders. Of course, well, that might also not be the case itself, but of course, yeah, Denmark is very strong, and to be honest, I'm not. I haven't done really thorough research on every other country's status, but in this report also, maybe Anu can also tell later today. There were some international comparisons of different countries' status and processes. So, yeah.
We are always comparing ourselves to Swedes. If we do better than Sweden, then we are good.
Very good.
Thank you, Anni Savikurki.